So this presentation is called UFOs in the World Today, Transdimensional Contact and Its Implications in a Changing World. Certainly, extraterrestrial visitors have been coming to our planet for before humanity was even here. This is a classic thing that happens from the Galactic Council, where they seed worlds, and they seed worlds with vegetation. And then the next wave, of course, is the animal kingdom. The next wave is the human kingdom, and eventually beginning to step up the DNA. And that's because planets are made to be inhabited by souls who are in some stage of spiritual evolution. And so we have lots of evidence, as we're going to see, that they have been coming. I thought that this was really a fun juxtaposition of a modern day cartoon of a modern day astronaut, and here are ancient astronauts that look extremely similar. Here's another one over here, and of course here most of you have probably seen a bigger close-up of this, but it looks like a little capsule with a human being laying in it, although it's not quite as clear as it could be because there's so many images on this page. This comes all the way from 10,000 BC. And again, we seem to see beings that either have luminous lights like halos around their head, or some kind of head apparatus, very much like an astronaut would visiting another planet. And this is actually from Italy. Very similarly, we have something that looks like almost a deep sea diver here with the same kind of headgear, and we have strange little disc-shaped UFOs. And these are cave paintings that are from Kimberley, Australia. Same kind of thing here. We have visitors that seem to have very large eyes and either some kind of glowing head or some kind of headgear that seems to give off a radiance. But you can see there's a lot of effort that's been made. And this is actually from 6000 BC in the Sahara Desert, and it comes from North Africa. Now, there are some cave paintings here that are found in the area around Algeria. These are, again, very similar figures with this sort of astronaut kind of headgear that have been found in caves in France and many other places. And you can see some of these raise their hands towards a giant being, or they have a non-human appearance, but the round heads seem to kind of hover in the air or radiate light. Here we have more cave paintings. This is from Tanzania, and they're estimated to be some 29,000 years old, which is, goodness gracious, you know, a long time ago. This would definitely have taken us all the way back to the time of Atlantis. And these are cave paintings showing some kind of disc-shaped objects here. And so either they had flying hats or, you know, it's a UFO. And here the same kind of thing with the UFO that seemed to be either lights around the rim, or the best that they could depict in these cave paintings, or perhaps this is a mothership with little scout ships. We've seen balls of light like this that during World War II were called foos fighters. So this was actually shown on the History Channel and other ancient cave paintings. Now, one of the most famous that most people don't even realize when they're looking at something that archaeologists call a pyramidion. This is a pyramidion, and it sits right on the top like a capstone of these tall, incredible obelisks. And of course, there were many, many obelisks in Egypt, and they actually acted as acupuncture needles to draw energy, like the meridians of the body, but this was the meridians of the earth, in order that the prayer work of the priests and the priestesses and the ancient mystery schools could be sent out all over the planet. As we know, the ancients seemed to understand the use of ley lines and electromagnetic energies, and they seemed to use these, and they placed most of these sacred holy sites like Stonehenge and these obelisks at key places, and they were able to actually influence world consciousness by doing this. Now, this pyramidion actually is very much like a space capsule we can see here. They called this the Bin Bin stone. And if you begin to study the ancient mysteries, you find out that this Bin Bin stone, the original one, which looked like this, opened up, and inside there was all sorts of electronic gear, and that some of the most sacred records of the Anunnaki gods were kept here. This capsule was kept in a city called Heliopolis. Helio means the sun, polis means a city, and that's the Greek term, Heliopolis, for the major spiritual religious city in all of Egypt. Let us call it the Omphalos, or the key nodal point in all of the Egyptian temple system. This was up in the headwaters of the Nile, about 12 miles north of the Giza Plateau. And only the high priest was allowed to go into this original Benben stone. And it was said to have belonged to the god Ra. So Ra, of course, was Marduk in the ancient Anunnaki gods. So this is really interesting that, you know, it's kind of like the cartoons about how the ancients worshipped these things. And of course, the high priest, I'm sure, knew what this was, but by the time it gets stepped down, it becomes the pyramidion.
Music